Oh my God! Oh my God! A boat went over just the Ethan Allen, just outside of Green Harbor.
Lake George hasn't had a fatal boating accident for over 110 years, and of the now 3 fatal accidents in the area's history, the Ethan Allen is the second that sank.
This is unprecedented.
Sunday, October 2nd, 2005, a group of tourists, most of them elderly, went on a sightseeing adventure on Lake George. Joy quickly turned to terror as their boat, the Ethan Allen, capsized. 20 people were killed. Rescuers and witnesses watched in shock as the horror unfolded. Rebecca Hall reports.
I'm not aware of any such incident of this magnitude in the 37 years that I've been on this job. This is unprecedented.
Around 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon, the chaos near Kramer Point on Lake George begins. Officials say a shoreline cruise ship called the Ethan Allen capsizes.
The ones who were getting off told me that as it turned, he was making a turn, and next thing you know, that it was capsized.
49 people are reportedly on board, including the captain and 1 crew member. According to officials, the group taking the cruise was made up of people from the Trenton, Michigan area, the majority of them elderly.
Some of them were using walkers and wheelchairs and were not able to get around easily.
Witnesses say the ship sank fast. The 4 dozen or so passengers dumped out into 70 feet deep of water. As of now, officials are saying 22 people did not survive. Others were treated for injuries.
The number that were transported immediately for care was between 4 and 6. They were what I would call in a status of need to get to the hospital right away.
Boaters and residents on the lake tried to help the victims.
One guy, as I was taking him off, he was very shook up, and he said, that was my wife. They just took my wife and they put her over there, and because she's dead, I know she's dead. And I said, don't jump to conclusions. There
was, a couple of people that were floating that we brought to our boat, and I performed CPR, and my daughter did too.
Officials first believe the Ethan Allen tipped after encountering the wake from a larger ship on the water. There's also been reports of the ship capsizing after making a sharp turn. All of that is still being investigated. Officials are also looking into the use of life jackets. Witnesses reported seeing them in the water, just nobody in them.
A priest was brought in to comfort survivors and perform last rites. Governor George Paki also made his way to Lake George to express his condolences.
This is a tragedy of immense proportions, and our thoughts and our prayers are with the families of the 20 loved ones who lost their lives yesterday.
76-year-old Jean Syler treaded water for 15 minutes to survive and was rescued by someone in a speedboat. Unfortunately, she watched as many of her friends struggled to survive.
Some of them, not being able to swim, were fumbling about. Some of them were screaming, and those that could were trying to hang on to the side of the boat.
By the next evening, the boat was back on land, and investigators were able to take a closer look. Mark Mulholland reports.
It was nearly 11 o'clock Monday night when federal investigators finally had the Ethan Allen on land in a place where they could examine it. A team of 14 from the National Transportation Safety Board is in Warren County to get some answers, but don't expect a determination to be made anytime soon.
Do you think that you're going to get an answer from me tomorrow or this week or next on a definitive cause? You're not. It's going to take months rather than weeks before we come up with conclusions that we can provide to you as to what took place.
Meantime, state police say the boat was in violation for not having enough crew. The pilot, Captain Richard Paris, was the only crew member on board.
The permit indicates that there was a captain required and 1 crew. That 1 crew being in addition to the captain. The only crew on that vessel was the captain, therefore he was in violation of that permit.
The law says the boat pilot or the boat company, Shoreline Cruises, could face a fine of $25 to $100. In addition to conducting an investigation, the Warren County Sheriff's Department is helping some of the survivors get home. Many lost their identification when the boat capsized.
There's a lady here who has no pocketbook, no ID. She obviously can't fly without that. We're working to get a letter put together for her. We're going to take her down. We're going to meet the Albany County Sheriff's Office. We're going to get her on the plane and get her home.
The capsizing has some questioning whether the Ethan Allen should have a total passenger weight limit, not just a maximum occupancy. According to our news partner, the Post-Star, the occupancy total is based on an average weight of 140 pounds per person.
In the meantime, survivors began to make their way home as they hugged and thanked life-saving heroes they would have otherwise never met. Abigail Bleck reports.
It's who's there when you need them who matter most.
They just said thank you. I mean, that's pretty much what they wanted to say, and that was enough.
A farewell to the place and people who not only saved these 11 survivors' lives, but also changed them forever.
This is heaven on earth. I'm just sorry that we found it the way we did, but we also found the best side of people.
Leaving behind new friends and those lost forever, but now able to board with added spirit and strength.
We're hurting, we're sad, but we're okay.
With takeoff comes closer thoughts of loved ones back in Michigan, anxious for their arrival, but also the knowledge that they're forever in the hearts of the people here who rescued them.
It's just the start of closure. I don't know. It's hard. I'm just glad they're on their way back to their families.
In the end, the NTSB found the boat's passenger load was 4 times what it should have been, 1,800 pounds overweight. A wooden canopy, the owner added, made it even more unstable, and it was no match for a large wave that caused it to tip over. A memorial honoring the victims now sits behind the old Warren County Courthouse in Lake George. It's a way to honor the victims of one of Lake George's darkest days while making sure they're never forgotten. For more coverage of past news events in the Capital Region, check out our News Channel 13 YouTube page, click on News Vault. Opening News Vault 13, I'm Rachel Teedy.